we're shooting live at Buns Sports Pub and Grub in Roseville, California, 311 Judas Street. You know what? I want to give a shout out to all the people that are watching online and on TV. We would like to. I know there's people from Texas watching. You guys are always watching us. We was checking analytics earlier, and we got people in Montana. That's a new one for me. I'm sure it's cold up there, you guys. You guys got nothing else better to do but to watch us, right? You know, we'd like to, again, thank Buns. You know, these guys have been really hospitable to us over the months. And, you know, it's Wing Wednesday. They got new prices on their wings thanks to the rise in the, what do you call it, the minimum wage. So we got rise in chicken wings, too, in more ways than one. But you know what? We're pretty good. Hey, Marcus, go ahead and join us, brother. We've got Marcus Boulevard coming on to my right. Coming on. There you go. Hey, put your headphones on. And where you at, brother? Were you talking to some chick on the phone?
I wish. Wouldn't that be nice?
No. So traffic.
Sacramento has
Hey, you know what? When you're late, guys, I guess everything is traffic. Hey, you know, I did this. We were at Tailgaters in Brentwood, California, and I have to mention Brentwood, Northern California. Last Saturday, I want to say hello to Bill. What's up, brother? And you know what?
Great hospitality. Thank you.
I was, a lot of you guys asked me, first off, what am I drinking out of this? Well, first off, thanks to Max Muscle for giving this to me, and I drank all my protein shakes out of here. Well, water. There's no vodka or anything like this. But you know what? Slim. Plexus Slim right here. I've been taking this for a while. And, you know, it gives me, oddly enough, it gives me energy. And I'm showing you guys right here that I'm actually drinking it. And I'm putting it in the shaker here. I will say this, though. It is a little sweet. Actually, it's a lot sweet. So I'm going to, I put some lime juice in here, and that's what Julie Travis Wright told me to do. And so I'm drinking Plexus. I'm going to pound this. It's red. It kind of tastes strawberry-ish. But anyway, you know, there's a drink here at Buns that we have started. It's called the Epic Ground and Pound. So go talk to your bartender up there and try the Epic Ground and Pound. I personally have not tried it because you can call it Lent for quite some time. I know a lot of people do Lent for a little bit, but I'm on Lent for like 6 months. I'm not drinking any alcohol, so I have not tried the Epic Ground and Pound. Can I get a napkin, please? Epic Ground and Pound. But I'll tell you what, Giovanni's tried it. Marcus, have you tried it?
I have not, but I'm kind of there with you. Alcohol's not doing it's not doing anything good for me either. But at the same time, we probably started a little bit sooner than these guys. You went to Oklahoma, you were out there in a party school.
Oh, yeah, it's one of the, I will tell you what, hey, Boomer Sooner, if you guys can see this, OU, Boomer Sooner, we're going to talk March Madness here in a little bit.
So, yeah, we got an early start. The rest of the week we catch up.
Hey, I'll tell you what, though, Thomas Fallon had it. Rick Rieger had it last week. He loved it. So it's a good drink. And, you know, once again, you know what, with all the fans, and I know I've said this 3 times already, but you guys are the reason why we're here. You guys watch us, and we appreciate it. We love you guys. And we're going to kind of start off a little bit. I know it's March Madness kicking off, but we are going to talk about some bribes that have been going on. They picked a new president in FIFA, and there's some stories going on that even during the summit, there was a lot of bribes going on with, which I don't doubt. But let me ask you this, Marcus, in your humble opinion, and anybody else out there that wants to answer or shout out, do you think that soccer is the most corrupt sport?
Wow, the most corrupt. Well, let's get some people. We had some good call-ins last week. If anybody else has to chime in on this, feel free to call in and give me your take on it. I can't say that soccer stands out as the most corrupt. I think a lot of people would agree with me that boxing needed a lot of cleaning up for a while.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
It needed a lot of cleaning up. There was a lot of things going on with that. But soccer has one of the largest audiences, one of the largest actually crowds during the game.
Yes.
And it's probably one of the most aggressive crowd and people. So
I'll tell you what, I'm going to interrupt you there right now. I was over in the Middle East, and I was at a soccer game. I went with a friend of mine. About 140,000 or so fans. And I'll tell you what, man. And I've been to one over in Europe as well. Those guys are freaking crazy. I mean, it gets to a point to where I'm not even kidding. They have an 8-link chain link fence going down the middle of the stands on both sides. So home team over here, away team over here. Fans are nuts, man.
Out of control.
I mean, you thought the Crips and Bloods were bad for colors. I mean, soccer fans, if you're wearing the wrong color, I mean, I don't care. So you know what I do when I go to soccer games? I wear black. Straight up black, or I will wear all white. I'm not even kidding, man.
Well, as long as they don't mistake you for a referee, because I've seen some of them catch it pretty bad. I mean,
oh yeah.
So you gotta look at how much pressure is on the people that are making the calls over there. So I would imagine that it would probably be up there pretty high with the other sports that have that much pressure put on the winner. I mean, it's down to violence. I mean, and you're in the middle.
I want to. One of our fans from Austin, Texas, Violet, she texted, tweeted actually, that she feels that soccer is highly corrupt.
Okay.
But you know what? You brought up boxing, and there was a movie. I don't remember the name of the movie, but there were several of them dealing with boxing and corruption. And I would say that the biggest time of corruption in boxing was 20s, 30s, and 40s. Those 3 decades, and I'm not saying that it's not now, but you had the mob big time in that.
You want to bring up people like Jack Johnson and the things that they were going through, because you had the civil rights movement going along with sports, along with corruption, along with there were so many different factors factored in during that time. That I can imagine that it was, but that was the only sport that I remember my father not being a fan of me doing for that reason. He just felt like the winner, from what he had witnessed, during his time growing up, but when he witnessed it, the winner is going to be who they want to win, especially during those type of days. And they were probably putting a lot more pressure on the fighters, but I think a lot has been done to bring attention to boxing. I think a lot has been done. Well, I think the UFC has put a lot of pressure, or MMA, I'll say, has put a lot of pressure on them to pick up the pace and do some things with their regulations. So
who do you think, off the top? You know what? I was watching some stuff on Mike Tyson. And let me preface this first by saying I am not saying he ever took a bribe, ever. I was just watching Mike Tyson. Do you think if someone came up to Iron Mike and said, "Hey, Mike, I want you, we've got millions of dollars on this other cat to an upset. I want you to throw the fight." Do you think for a second that Mike Tyson would even entertain that? Or do you think he would just punch the dude in the face?
Let me answer this by saying that, and I'll bring this up a lot of times when we talk about anything in character, judgment, morals. Mike Tyson may have grown over time, and now is someone that values those things. But he'll be first to admit, this man was a person snatcher when he was young. Okay, and you can blame it on survival, but that takes a special kind of mentality. Okay, so at a point in time in his life, I believe that anything was possible. I believe you could come to him with money and say, "Hey, this is what we need you to do," and he would look at, and he probably would have looked at it. I think that they paid him so much money that wasn't an option at that point.
Right. And one of the biggest bribes in sports history, and the season's getting ready to start next month, and just in a couple of weeks. Baseball. Now, the biggest one that I know of was the Black Sox.
Okay.
That they call it the Black Sox in the World Series.
Sorry, gonna bring up Pete Rose.
No. The Black Sox. With the World Series back then, and it was huge. Pete Rose, I don't think ever took a bribe. Now he bet on his team. You know what?
At least bet on the win. I mean,
exactly.
There's a lot of different opinions about Pete Rose.
So bribes are going to be around. I mean, soccer. Okay, think about it. You've got a lot of soccer teams in Africa. You got a lot of soccer teams in, say, the Middle East, in different countries. And third world countries.
Yeah.
Now you tell me that a kid from Uganda is playing soccer, and maybe he's the goalie, and he says, "Hey, we're going to set up your family. We're going to get them. Say they move them to Ireland. not even America, to Ireland. We're going to set them up in the house, all this, and we're going to give you this much money.
No.
Make it look good, but throw the game.
I don't even think, really, I don't even think that it's about bribing the man. I think they'd rather threaten him. You know, I think it would be more of your safety is in danger if you don't do what we tell you. I don't think they'll go as far as trying to, you know, I mean, you said third world country, and you're talking about powers that be. And, you know, from what I've seen, I haven't seen too many people bribed over there.
Right.
I've seen people pressured and powered. I haven't seen too many people set up nicely to do something. I think they would just use their power and say, don't block the ball.
Right. I used to actually live in Africa for a year.
Okay.
And I actually did it for, you know, humanitarian reasons. I mean, I went over there kind of on a walkabout, and my walkabout lasted quite a bit of time. And actually, I was in with this one tribe, and they were teaching me their culture. I was teaching them my culture, the Native American culture, and then we were helping with you know cultivating the land and whatnot, and digging wells so they didn't have to walk miles to get water. But I asked them, because there was a lot of, even back then, you know, with the pirates and everything, I said, you know, I mean, but they have their own. Now, they're really funny that you mentioned that. There really is no negotiations and things like that. It is a threat, and it is the person with the, you know, the biggest gun or the most violent or whatever. And but you know, unfortunately, I wrote a story last year about bribes in soccer, and it came up again yesterday. Soccer is a sport that kind of goes year round. I mean, baseball, you know, it's over in October pretty much. Basketball is going to be over here pretty soon. Hockey, the same thing. You've got baseball starting up. Football's over in February. Soccer goes around year around, and there are just, when it comes to betting, you have something. Okay, we'll just say Nate Diaz, the fight with McGregor. At the last, it was plus 380. So you bet $100 to win $380. So if someone says, hey, we're going to pay, and I'm not saying anyone, but we're going to pay you, you know, $1 million. You know, your purse for the fight is going to be, what, $500,000. We're going to pay you $1 million, but we want, you know, we're going to bet on this and basically make it look good, throw the fight, whatever. I know people get approached for that, and Vegas is a funny thing. If you watch the odds during the day, during the week, you'll see them fluctuate up and down, up and down, up and down, kind of like the stock market. And I know, I mean, especially, now let's talk about, I mean, right here, what do we got right here? Well, that's pro, but right up here we got Belmont in Georgia playing basketball. We got March Madness starting tomorrow. We'll talk more about March Madness here in a minute.
I mean, it's even been mentioned in high school. I mean,
well, yeah, high school.
I mean, it's even been mentioned as far as, you know, personal bets and things that don't even make it onto the scene. So I can imagine that it's present everywhere. I think that we live in such a social media age now that it's a lot riskier than it may have been before. I think that there's so many different ways for things to come out, be recorded, be tracked. It would be a lot riskier than it has been in the past, but hiding money is a little bit more difficult. You know, there's other factors that are going to play into it. And even if a guy goes out injured, you know, there's a lot of different ways to vary what it is that somebody's pressuring you to do. If they're pressuring you to lose, and they're pressuring you not to perform as well, I mean, you still got a coach that can pull you out of the game altogether and put another guy in there. So to offer a guy $1 million and to go with the fact that that's going to happen, it's still a game. It's still a game, right?
All right, so now let's kind of transition to March Madness. You got March Madness starting tomorrow. And first off, I want to apologize to people that are looking at me and I got all this facial hair. I want to apologize. I'm going to blame it on the writer, director, producer of the movie that I'm going to be involved in. I can't say too much about it, but he wants me to grow out this beard for a scene that we're shooting. And so it's not that I'm homeless or I'm just don't want to shave and I'm lazy and I'm dirty. I've been instructed to grow this out. I'm not very good at growing out a beard. I hate it. It itches. It's driving me up a freaking wall. But I'm just letting you know. And again, you know, I want to thank Tig for doing our social media. And while we're doing the show, she's the one that's answering your guys' tweets. She's the one that's posting up on Instagram. and Twitter and Facebook. Ashley for setting up sound, everything like that. Renee, I want to thank you. I mean, she helps book all these fighters, and Nick Coring is going to be joining us on an MMA hour here in a little bit, and she's in contact with these gentlemen and working hard. And she's got a normal job, a regular job that she works all 40 hours a week, and she still finds time to do this. Our, producer Giovanni, Sovereign, Blue Pulse Cinema, and the Ether Martian Network. I said it right this time, buddy. And so you know what? And we'll get more into that. But March Madness. Now they started it this year. You can do your regular bracket. I believe it's like 10 of them. I did like 6 or 7. So first off, let me ask you this: did you do your bracket?
I have not.
You have not.
I have not.
Are you going to do your bracket?
I'm going to get together with my son, who's he's at that point where he's looking at colleges a little bit more serious than I am. He's a senior. He's a basketball player, and I'm going to take a look. The last 2 years, he was dead on. He was really dead on, and he was right about his analysis of it. So I think I'm not, and he really talks a lot of mess to me when he's right.
Okay, so
I'm gonna be humble. And
are you going to do? I mean, you've got to like midnight tonight.
Well, we've got a road trip we're taking, so we're going to be in the car trapped together, and that's going to be probably the most of the topics. So I'm going to take his intake, take his opinion on who's doing what, and he's probably in the know a lot more than I am. But I have not done my brackets yet. I always have a feeling. I think it comes down to coaching quite a bit more.
Yeah.
Than, the coaching and how they use their bench, how they keep their players focused. How all the things are going off the court. There's so many different factors that play into going all the way through. There's always somebody that comes from behind as an underdog. There's somebody always steps up that's in the that's not at the top of the bracket and knocks somebody off.
Right.
And so it's really finding that team. I think if you want to be in there with the bracket, and finding that team that's not going to be intimidated by the big guys. That's deep within their bench, that all the guys on the team can play. Maybe not so much like the pros are getting, not so much a superstar on the team, but everybody can contribute and defense.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people that they're not too many of those underdogs are. I'm gonna go. I'm people that are watching. I'm not jacking around. I'm pulling up my bracket here, and I'm gonna go over my first bracket. Now, I got Kansas obviously beating Austin. Well, you know what? I picked all of the first one. I picked all the number ones. The thing. So in the second round, the 32, I still got Kansas, Colorado, Maryland over Cal.
Where'd you deviate?
I picked Iowa over Villanova. So Iowa's 7 seed, Villanova's 2. Of course, I got Baylor over Duke.
Wow, no, that's Baylor is one of those teams. Is one of those teams. Strong defense, deep within. All the guys contribute. It's not like they're Duke. You gotta figure. He's at that point right now. I think we talked about him and other guys there. He's just with that elite group right now that are working on their legacy. When we talked about Roy Williams possibly retiring.
Oh, well, that's a whole nother story.
Right?
But yeah.
But when we talk about that elite group of coaches right now that are just within that small fraternity, that are really working on their, on their legacy, it's difficult to say because those teams have so much pressure on them.
Right. Now, I want to mention this, though. There are regular brackets, and now this year they have a smart bracket. Now, smart bracket is basically like a quick pick in the lottery. You go in there, it says smart bracket, and then in a second, it'll pick all your teams for you, and then you just hit OK. And, so you can do that. I actually did one smart bracket because I wanted to see exactly how smart this thing was. So I just did, tonight I might do 2 more. But you know what? I have, and again, all you Texas folks, I had to pick one, Texas or Texas A&M. Honestly, down with the Horns. But honestly, I picked freaking the Longhorns to beat Texas A&M. And I tell you why. if I got to go for a Texas team, I did pick Baylor, but I would definitely pick the Longhorns over A&M. I mean, they did beat OU earlier this year. That kind of pissed me off. But other than that, I got Oregon over. But I got North Carolina, USC, Indiana. I got over Kentucky.
Okay, now that's fun. And you start looking at matchups, backcourts against front courts, where the mismatches are, where someone can be exposed at that point. Size does start playing into it.
Yeah. Endurance,
size, rebounding, and who actually played defense. I mean, everybody looks at who's putting the ball into the hoop, but who's those ones that are stopping guys from getting there, the guys that are putting the pressure on. Sometimes when guys can't get that ball up court, and that trap is just something they can't get through. That's more of a collegiate type of game plan. When you're trapping the guy coming up the court and they just can't get into their offense, that's strong with their tournament. So
another upset I have in the second round is Notre Dame over West Virginia. Pretty much it doesn't go until I also picked Dayton over Michigan State. That's a big one. And again, you've got to have some you've got to have some teams that are going to do some upsets. If you just pick your bracket, all the number one seeds and now granted, I mean, there's people saying in your Final Four and your Elite Eight, how many number one seeds do you have in there? Now, I have, obviously, in this bracket, I have OU winning it all. So I won't go through. So on on two of my brackets, I have OU winning. On one of my daughter's bracket, I have Kansas. On one, I have North Carolina winning. Texas A&M, Indiana, and those are the ones that I have right now. My smart picked Kansas again. But when you pick your brackets, there's people do like mathematics. They'll do they'll look statistics. What I do, I look at them. But I will take statistics and I'll look at them and then I'll burn them because it means nothing once March Madness is named March Madness because it's madness. Yeah. Dude, a few years ago, Butler. Right? Who the heck is Butler, dude? And they went all the way, and last shot of the game, they almost won the game. And how you pick? I used to date a girl in Las Vegas when I lived there. And we would bet a lot of football, and I'd be like, "How the crap? You don't know crap about football. How are you picking this?" She goes, "Well, I like that emblem."
Right.
I said it's not an emblem.
Yeah.
But anyway, she picked it. I didn't care, but you see all the commercials where people are throwing pencils up and a dartboard and the rabbits picking and whatever. So when it comes to brackets, sometimes you have to go with your gut and. Hey, sometimes,
the spread guys are pretty impressive sometimes.
They are. But when it comes to March Madness, I don't know, man. North Carolina could beat an upset in the first round. There was a few people being upset in the first round last year. But how are you going to pick your bracket? What is your methodology?
It's not. It's more of a general statistic. When you look at guys like that are almost too young to be scared, or when you look at a team that's compiled of mostly seniors that have that team leadership, and that's it. How many times have you heard coaches say that any sport is 90% mental? And when you see guys that are mentally tough enough, or just that coachable, that the coach has them that dialed in, that's what I look for within early, is to see who's getting the type of response, who's not off the field, on the field, those types of problems. But when you look at a super young team that made it there, that's the one that has a chance because they just don't have enough insight to even be affected by the things that they're supposed to. The things they're supposed to affect them don't affect them. They're supposed to be scared, but they're just being coached. They're supposed to be, knowledgeable, but all the things that they're supposed to be, they just listen to their coach and they do what they're supposed to do. And when he tells them to defend, they defend. When he tells them to rebound, and they just robots.
Right.
But these other guys that are thinking about going to the pros, or thinking about whether they're going to stay in or not, or thinking about what happened to them last year, or all these different things that they have been influencing. So, you look for the guys that are just going to follow the system and not try to reinvent the wheel when they get there. And,
all right.
You said it's madness. So when somebody's madness, you got to see who's going to be able to still stay focused within the madness.
All right, so we got about 4 more minutes till we go to break. So who are your sleeper teams? You got to have 2 at least on each side. Who are your sleeper teams?
Well, you mentioned Iowa.
I did.
And
they always come up from somewhere.
Right.
Where the crap? What do they do in Iowa that gives them? I mean, maybe that's all they have to do there is eat potatoes and play basketball.
Right. You mentioned Iowa and.
Oh wait, no, that's Idaho. Idaho potatoes. Never mind. Iowa. My bad. Sorry.
Yeah, and I usually keep an eye on Wisconsin. As somebody that's gonna come from down, and because they've been building the program for so long, and real good coachable guys. And then you got some of the Pac. You may even get someone out of the Pac-10 that actually steps up and does some things just because they face such competition throughout the year. All right,
well, let me ask you this. You don't have to say anything because I'm wearing an OU shirt.
Right.
But what do you think about the Sooners' chance going further in the tournament? How far do you think they're going to get?
I wouldn't call them an underdog.
No, heck no, they're not an underdog.
I mean, I thought about it wrong, but you asked me for an underdog, and I'm like, those guys are always such a powerhouse.
No, how far do you think they're going to go?
I could definitely see them get to the Final Four.
All right. Speaking of that, you got 64 teams now. Do you think now they added since a couple years ago? Do you think because they're wanting to go to 68 now? Do you think that the field is too big, too many teams?
It's a lot of teams. I mean, it's a lot of teams. I mean, right now to pick them, you're still going to overlook some really good competition that's out there. And health. Also, always, that's another thing that we don't. There's some teams that may not have been as strong as they are now. They were missing some components, missing a couple players that come back, get healthy for this time of year that have been aiming for it. So that's where the surprises come from. Is that they got teams that just didn't look that good because they were missing 1 or 2 pieces that are back.
All right, tell me who do you got winning, and why? 2 minutes. We got 2 minutes.
You were down on Michigan State. And,
only on that one bracket. I'm a Magic Johnson guy, so I like Michigan State.
I tend to watch the Michigan teams, and they really have a heavy competition throughout the regular season, and there's always a lot of pressure on them. There's always some very good coaching there, very stable. So I say I would go with State if I had to just pick one.
All right. All right.
I've seen some really good. I've only seen a few of their games, but I saw some really good things out of them. I saw a really good push, really good.
All right, we got 60 seconds. So I think it's going to be ironic, and I think it's going to be. I'm going to laugh if North Carolina makes it to the finals and they win. I know there's talk about Roy Williams retiring after this year, and if he does win this year, he will walk away saying, "Peace out, thank you very much." Speaking of walking away, we got to walk away for a couple minutes right now. We're going to come back with myself and Giovanni as soon as he gets off the phone, and we are going to do our segment, Peace in the Wild, our hunting and fishing segment. So all you hunting and fishing and lovers out there, get your questions ready. We'll be back in 2 minutes, 2 seconds. All right, man.
I was close. You started early.
No, I started at 4. Let me get up.
All right, all right. I was close. Yes, great. Okay, who's our guest?
How you doing?
Good to see you.
It's been a crazy day.
Yeah, you too.
I was at the ER from 11:30 to 3 with my girl.
I hate
Shot
that.
picked up 2 different kids and still got here by 4:15.
Nice.
I had to work my way up.
I didn't know how I was going to get here, but I knew I'd get here eventually somehow.
Where's there it is. Where's the USB thing that we went to?
You're asking that. I worked for AT&T for 2 years, right there on the backside of the thing.
That works. All right, that works.
All they let me do was run the cable. They didn't let me plug in.
They're like, no. No, step back.
Say what?
I can spill my drink in the middle of the show.
Crap.
We lost the bench until.
Hey,
Oh, did you guys want to do this part by yourselves?
you.
Did you guys want to do this part just you and
Can you
Kip on it?
hit stop in court
You should teach me how to work the camera so I can do that.
all the way over to the blue?
Right now?
Yeah, hit stop. And then hit Ashley. Here, get Ashley real quick so she can hit. No, get over here. It's him. It's yeah. Hit that. What's going on? And then Giovanni. I'm ready. Get him over here.
Giovanni.
Illegal here. In air. I want this much. I'll pay you $200. I'm like, what? $200 an ounce? Well, anyway, very short. Even you can individuals. I would say they're doing the poaching. Police officer or highway patrol, even state trooper, they can come in without a warrant. If you get caught poaching, they will take everything. He kind of got away with it at first, and the guy called in and had one tag. And then he was like, well, I'm shooting it for my friend. Well, anyway, they took everything from this guy. Seriously, more than cops with crack.
For example, in Alaska, there's actually a reality to a supermarket to buy sustenance.
Right.
The wedding ring lure. Real tried and true lure along King River and Grant Line Canal. I would be using frozen shad or fresh shad. It's probably
prevent invasive species from coming here or taking care of it without hurting the environment?
if I can answer
Yeah,
that.
go ahead, man.
Okay, well, one thing, I appreciate your call and your support of the segment of the Epic Sport.
To go over, here with the NBA. So,
And totally ignores what they've done and accomplished.
right.
Totally hit the pros and started. You'll see how incredible of an athlete and incredible of a competitor.
I told Aaron, owner of it's back on, but buffing. Thank you, Texas, for letting us know that.
It's gonna be pretty fun.
Yeah.
I might drink more beer than they think.
So, hey, watch March Madness tomorrow. We are back. We're going to take another break. We will be back with Nick Core. So, all you people out Tune in for our MMA hour. We will be back in about 3 minutes. Go ahead and we'll just jump in. What